Okay, here we go. I had no plans of reviewing this movie, but one of you know who you are, brought it up on my Psycho review a couple weeks ago, and I got to thinking about the connections between this and Psycho, and then some other thoughts popped into my head, and I decided, why not just do it, just make a video and fire off those thoughts, and we'll see how it goes. So, this is a review, or just a collection of thoughts on Halloween. That is the 1978 version, directed by John Carpenter and starring Jamie Lee Curtis and Donald Pleasence. It's the first entry in the now huge horror slasher franchise about Michael Myers, who killed his teenage sister when he was 6, was institutionalized, escaped 15 years later, and returned to his hometown of Haddonfield, Illinois to kill more people. I've got to tell you, I feel like I'm not the right person to review this, mainly because these kinds of movies, slashers, aren't really my thing. I don't enjoy watching people get hunted down and killed willy-nilly, especially when it's graphic, especially when it's stabbing. It bothers me how the antagonist always ends up endowed with superpowers and immortality so that no matter what, he just keeps getting up again and the franchise can continue. And I really don't like how they always end up following idiotic, irresponsible teenagers who are too busy fooling around with each other to notice that there's a murderer coming after them. You moron! Put your clothes back on and pay attention! But I will concede that the 1978 Halloween was better than I expected and more palatable than other later movies of the same genre. There's not actually a ton of blood and guts in it, and though there are dumb teenagers, at least the main one, Laurie Strode, is more responsible and focused and introverted, so more sympathetic to me. This movie was extremely influential, setting the tone and style for a lot of future horror films, and I think it takes itself more seriously and shows more effort and care than a lot of the more bombastic, can I say ridiculous, slasher films to follow. I think it's impressive what John Carpenter pulled off on such a tight budget, and in addition to directing and writing the script, he also wrote the music score. The Halloween soundtrack, like Psycho, has one of the most famous recognizable horror themes, and it's very opportunely placed. A prime example of how music, especially if it's music that makes you jump when it shows up, can radically alter the mood, turning a mild sunny October afternoon into something sinister where boogeymen lurk around every corner. Donald Pleasence has a key role in this movie as psychiatrist Dr. Loomis. In my opinion, Donald Pleasence was to Halloween as Alec Guinness and Peter Cushing were to the first Star Wars, a mature, well-respected English actor whose very presence elevated the quality and prestige of a low-budget movie populated mostly by unknowns, and he went on to play the role 5 times. And like I said, there are a lot of connections to Psycho. A big one is that in Psycho, Marion Crane was played by Janet Leigh, and in Halloween, Laurie Strode is played by Leigh's daughter, Jamie Lee Curtis, in her feature film debut. Another is that Donald Pleasence's character is named Sam Loomis, the same as Marion Crane's boyfriend. There's another name thing that's much more obscure, and I wouldn't have gotten it if I hadn't just watched Psycho. There's a character named Marion Chambers. The Marion part is pretty obvious, but Chambers was the last name of the sheriff in Psycho. I'm assuming that that was intentional. So I know these movies have some big fans. I even know one of them personally, and I understand why the first one is particularly beloved, but I'm just not terribly keen on them. If I'm gonna curl up on the couch with a scary movie, I'm more likely to pick one of the old horror flicks that Carpenter plays on the TV in the background, like The Thing from Another World. That movie's great. Carpenter's 80s remake, not so much. I know that movie's closer to the original story, but so disgusting. I couldn't wait for it to be over. But the original Halloween is appealingly simple in plot, tense but engaging, violent but not over the top, more of a stalker movie than a killing people movie for the most part. And I guess if I had to watch a slasher movie, I'd prefer it be this one. But I still would rather not. So those are my thoughts on Halloween. Thanks for watching. Bye!